Welcome y'all to Heavy Jammin' Records, Song, and Download Review. This is Duke, your friendly neighborhood music freak, and I'm here to fill your playlist with some rock and roll, or at least what I consider it to be. That could be anything from the quietest moments of a Joni Mitchell or Iron and Wine song to the ear-shattering sounds of Motorhead, Mastodon, and beyond. I want to take y'all on a musical journey and hope y'all ready for the ride. Come along. A buddy of mine tried to turn me on to Steve Earle about the time his Copperhead Road CD hit the airwaves. I liked the tune Copperhead Road. The rest sounded to me too much like a country version of Bruce Springsteen, and I kind of wrote him off along with all the other country stars of the time like Travis Tritt, Frank Black, Lee Greenwood, and Alan Jackson. Y'all remember those guys? That was just not my sound. And other than hitting a country dance hall to check out the ladies, I really didn't listen to any of that style of music, with the lone exception of Willie Nelson, of course, who had always been my hero. In the mid-90s, I read an article about Steve and how he had started recording music again after getting clean and out of jail. The artwork on the album cover of I Feel Alright caught my eye at my local record store. I went ahead and purchased that one, along with Hear My Train A-Comin', and a whole new world opened itself up to me. Yeah, Steve Earle is country, but in his very own way, and mixes various other styles of American roots and folk music into his stew, along with a good dose of old-time rock and roll. Now, I didn't know much about country music at the time, but one thing I was aware of was their love for duets, something that really isn't that prevalent in rock music. And it turns out Steve is no stranger to that type of song either, recording at least one duet per album, starting with I Feel Alright, the lone exception being Transcendental Blues. I Feel Alright has You're Still Standing There, a fun romp with Lucinda Williams. Jerusalem has I Remember You with Emmylou Harris. The Revolution Starts Now has Coming Around, another Emmylou Harris duet. And Washington Square Serenade shines with Days Aren't Long, a duet with Alison Moore. Thanks to Steve, I discovered both Lucinda Williams and Alison Moore through these duets, and garnered a great appreciation for Emmylou's music, and have become a fan of all three ladies. The one duet that really stirred things up for me, though, was on El Corazon, and has become one of my favorite songs, period. Sometimes you hear a voice that sings you dreaming, and you immediately fall in love with it. That's what happened when I heard Siobhan Maher-Kennedy's voice in Poison Lover, a bittersweet song about two lovers in a destructive relationship, her heart having turned to stone from the abuse, and he trying to leave the hopeless situation behind, but both seemingly coming to the troubled realization that they might never ever be able to escape each other. I had thankfully never been in such a relationship, but have experienced good friends seemingly caught in this spiral of love and hate with no vision for an exit. And the compelling passion with which they both deliver this conversation kind of hit close to home. So this was 1997, before much, if any, access to the internet, and the word Google sounded like baby talk, and YouTube and MyTube and whatever tube would seem like a pipe dream if anyone would try to explain it to you. So that song was all I had from Dear Siobhan, whose name I just last year even learned how to pronounce after seeing an SNL skit on YouTube with a crazy Irish dating show. Sometime in 2002, I was browsing through the same record store where I had bought I Feel Alright so many years before, and couldn't believe my eyes when I found Immigrant Flower in the country section. Didn't really know what to expect, but saw that Steve Earle had produced it and figured you really can't go wrong with that, and I was not about to be disappointed. Now this is definitely rooted in the country genre, alternating between its more mature and pop variants, interspersed with a good dose of American roots and folk styles.
When the light comes down like a kiss on the lips, it's a fragile ride and memory trips. The taste is sweet, but the kiss is unkind. There's a crawl space in
guitar sets in, directly followed by the beat, and you hear her soft but very clear voice sing, "Turn the lights on, baby, gonna close my eyes. Don't want to see the situation out of disguise. I run my fingers down the scar, and you are caught up in the bitterness of kiss on the lips." An intense exploration on the agony of love gone wrong, penned by Judy Miller. Her vocals are heart-wrenching without being desperate, absolutely in control of the situation while hiding in the crawl space of her mind, fragile and cold as ice when she sings about that blade that is so sharp that it separates the soul from the heart. This is the end right at the beginning, a song that grabs you by the soul with its cryptic lyrics.
I'm so tired of working every day. Now the weekends come, I'm gonna throw my troubles away. If you've got the cab fare, mister, you'll do alright.
I want to see the bright lights, Promise You Anything, and Light Out in the Road are three upbeat Steve Earle style country rockers that are bound to get you moving while you sing out loud along with each chorus, with Bright Lights being the most trademark country fun of them all. Ain't no way you're gonna be late to this party. Promise You Anything turns it up a notch with a traditional girl dares boy to come along for a wild time song with a fun but weird pedal steel solo mixing it up. Light Out on the Road is what I'd imagine it would sound like if Steve Earle produced Shania Twain with his signature sound. Not that the likes of her would ever dare to be so unmainstream or ever be able to inject the sincerity that Siobhan devotes to every song. You can round these three out with Why'd You Have to Be So Good to Me, a somewhat more reflective song, but still keeping up a good country feel and tempo.
This was your last promise. One more time to say goodbye. Someone's turned your word into a lie.
Soap and Water has more of an experimental pop feel with strings and Beatle-esque motives, while There Was a Time takes a more mainstream approach with the production giving it an 80s pop feel reminiscent of Siobhan's time with her band the River City People. These are two songs about lost love and the courage to move past the hurt and pain, augmented with her cover of Fearless Heart, a song about the spirit to jump right back into the game of love without ever sounding reckless.
Here's another morning. Soon he'll be waking up. I watch him and wonder if
Better Word for Love is a very intimate acoustic song about her feelings towards her lover where the words never seem enough to describe her emotions for him. A beautiful, quiet folk ballad. But the two hidden gems in the folk tradition are King's Highway and When You Go Away.
I might just change my mind. Sometimes you can never tell where a story will unwind, or how deep is a shallow well. Sometimes
King's Highway is a dark and eerie tune in the tradition of the murder ballad. Siobhan takes on the identity of a serial killer on the look for a random victim. She looks at herself from the outside in, reflecting on the state of her soul and her surroundings, then casually describes her murder of a faceless victim and decides on taking his last bit of possession so he might not feel so bad about losing his life for nothing. She sings these lyrics with a matter-of-factness and emotional coldness that you never ever questioned that someone with such a beautiful voice would be capable of such a heinous crime. This song was originally written and recorded by Joe Henry and later covered by Joe Baez and Government Mule, all three versions being much more upbeat. And in the case of Joan and the Mule, basically a rock song, telling this troubling story from the viewpoint of the protagonist. Whereas Siobhan takes a much more intimate approach, literally putting you in the mind of the killer to a very haunting effect.
now he's brought down the rain and the Indian summer is through. In the morning I'll come following your trail again, fair play to you. You ain't calling me to join you, and I'm
Things close out with her interpretation of the Scottish-Irish folk rock ballad When You Go Away from the Waterboys. again increasing the intimacy from the original, similar to King's Highway. This is a beautiful, sad song about the end of love, much like Kiss on the Lips, but this time she does not hide away her feelings of love. She wears them for all to see, a proud woman, not ashamed of her inevitable sadness and the tears that will come. Lost are the traditional Highland and Irish elements, replaced with a simple acoustic guitar melody and mandolin chords, a soft percussive beat and quiet accordion, taking it away from the hills of Scotland and planting it firmly in the mountains of Appalachia. Nevertheless, leaving you with a vision of Maureen O'Hara staring out from her door as her lover rides away. Now, if you're absolutely not into country or folk or Americana, you will mostly not get anything out of this album. But if you do, I hope you enjoy it. I do not know why her voices touch me so much. Some things you just can't explain. But I think Siobhan brings an integrity and sincerity to all these songs, which I believe were picked with care, and not a single one seems out of character for her. This is the only release with her as a solo artist. She's done some background singing work for various other artists. Seems to me kind of a waste of a beautiful voice. Let me know what you think. Are there any hidden musical gems you treasure? Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to keep on rocking. Cheers.
Somebody left his whiskey and the